Hello, hello, hello. I apparently forgot what button I had to hit. I hope everybody is having a fabulous Tuesday. That must be Facebook. So, as we normally do, before we get started, I'm sorry, before we actually get started, hubby's going to skedaddle. He's not in the mood to be in here tonight. I know.
I haven't eaten.
Then go eat. Well, damn, Sam. Sure. Yay. As you guys come in, say hello, hello, hello.
You say goodbye.
Yep.
I don't know the rest of the Beatles song here.
Yeah, you're about to have me taken off before I even get started.
Oh, just remember, we don't get monetized if you use the outro.
What you mean?
Because on Facebook, we got the. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, see you later. Having trouble streaming your destination. Oh, okay. Remove. Alright, that's fine. Save changes. Always simple. Alright, so I am going to try and add some people in. You guys come in, please say hello. And we will be getting started in just a second here. All right, I think that's good enough. Hey, Mom. Thank you for coming in. I tried to go live on the radio podcast. I still say it wrong. But apparently I did that wrong, which is nothing new. So I will upload it to that after here to get it going. But we are talking about the Salem witch trial. This is one of the books from my library that I picked up. What are you doing?
And for those that listen to iHeartRadio, in 24 hours, we'll have the link up for iHeartRadio.
So I will be adding that as well. And then if you have not seen within the last half hour, I posted a new code for our merch site that you can get 15% off anything in that website. We are supporting the lives and individuals for the 4th of July, Independence Day. So with that, between June 28th to July 8th, you can use this site. Excuse me, that hurt. We'll put it in the chat here, and I will put it in a few more times before. Make sure I did it right. I've been having fat fingers all day today. It is crazy. So we are going to be talking about the Salem trial. As we know, they were not burned at the stake. That is first and foremost. They were hung. There is a difference on how they were executed. Salem witch trial that occurred in Salem Village, Massachusetts in 1692 are among the darkest moments in American history. In town, eventually changed its name to Denver. But the witch hunt that took place there is still famous today. As in, I have researched this. They actually have a museum about this. I mean, they do like a memorable day. I don't want to say a carnival because it wasn't a carnival. It wasn't a reenactment neither. I can't remember the name of it. Hello to the folks coming in. Again, please share it out. Let me see something real quick. What's my say? When you come in, please say hello. Let me know who comes in. I am going to real quick. But as we get talking today, we will begin to realize more about Salem. I do have more than one book, so this will take more than one show. As we go into the books and start reading and learning on what Salem trial was all about, I am going to reach out to archives and historians and stuff like that to see what else I can find. I have been watching a little bit of videos, getting some, information off and on there. As far as anything else, that's pretty much all I have. If anybody has any questions, please let me know. I will be more than happy to answer what I can. And if I cannot, from now until the next show about Salem, I will have that answer. I will write it down. That way I can take it with me and research it. I think all of this is very, very interesting. So we will be going more into the witch, the paranormal, and such, on looking for the real history behind what has happened in these events instead of made up stories that are not true. All we want is the real life stuff that has actually taken place, and having these archives and historian paperwork proves that a lot of this has happened. And if you read through a lot of what we post after our shows, that's another thing. If you go on our Wick, you can subscribe, and the higher the levels go, like Hocus Pocus, something like that. As you get further into the subscription, the higher you go. There's only 3, 5, 10, and 15. The $15 one actually gives you a newsletter on everything that we have written, everything that is in our words, and on top of that, we'll also give you, hello, Miss Medium. How are you, honey? Finally got to the chat. Absolutely. Thank you for coming in. With that, you also not only get the new free merch just for joining, you will also get the opportunity to see any archives or historian stuff that we get on there. As in, you can print it out, make a book out of it, do as you wish. Just don't abuse it. That's our only thing. Don't abuse what has been given to you. We do appreciate all the love and support that we have already gotten, and continue. All we need is just you guys. That's it. So if you want to follow, you want anything else, please just let us know. Any topics that you would like to see me research and go forth on, please let me know, and I will be more than happy to do it. So we started on Welcome to Salem. This is a book that my daughter and I got from, as you see, the library. We do a lot of our research either at the library. We have a historian at the library that will direct us in the right direction for the correct information that we need for our topics. I give her a topic and tell her it has to be truthful. It cannot be, this fake stuff. We just don't do it. So we are here to teach and learn and, go on this journey with you guys. So we learned that the Salem witch trial that occurred in Salem Village, Massachusetts, at 1692 are among the darkest moments in American history, which is true. The town eventually changed its name to Denver, but the witch hunts that took place there are still famous today. And when I said that, they do some sort of an event. They do have their own museum, which I would love to just go and visit just for nonfiction compared to fiction. Yes. It all began in February 1692 when Salem Pearson's 9-year-old daughter, Betty, and her 11-year-old cousin, Alget Williams, began acting strangely. William lived at the Pearsons' home because her parents had died. One day, Pearson returned home from work and found the girl twisted themselves into an impossible position, hidden under chairs, sticking out their tongues and screaming odd words. So they assumed because the kids were acting up, like all kids do, my kids act up. Half the time, my husband doesn't understand anything that comes out of their mouth. I do. But they assumed because of the craziness that the kids were doing and the impossible stuff that they were doing, they assumed that they were witches, I assume. Source of the past. There is a map that are useful for historians, especially when the primary source, if a map is drawn. So this is the map that they would use. This 1866 map designed by W.P. Upham. Sorry, reminds me of Dunham. Shows Salem's Village, which is in the dark. You see the dark line going around the town. Well, that would be wrong way. That would be where it is, just going all the way around it. Of course, I'm trying to navigate you as I'm trying to look at the other page. That didn't work. There was no natural explanation for this behavior. Pierce's doctor, Williams, decided the girls were bewitched, in other words. Dr. Gail Williams thought the girls were a victim of witchcraft. That's to remember in 1692, Salem, Massachusetts. Yeah, so true. So true. Salem was Puritan community and had settled in Massachusetts in 1630. Like the Pilgrims, they had come to America to practice their religion freely. The Pilgrims wanted to separate from the Church of England. So this is their beliefs on how, I guess, it makes them the same, I would assume. Let me know what you guys think. But they wanted to reform and change the teaching of the Church of England. They set up their own government laws, just like the Pilgrims. Yeah, I guess there's the way that they do the same things, some of the same things like the Pilgrims did. By 1692, more than 600 people lived in the area of Salem, which includes the Weatherly Salem town and Salem Village. The village farmers felt the town was becoming more modern and Puritan values weren't being held up. The, a wealthy and powerful family in Salem Village disliked this these changes and established their own church. So that's where the rivalry came, and that's where they started to dislike them because they were different. Just because you're different doesn't mean anything. Everybody's different nowadays. We're not putting anybody at the stake. Roger Williams became the pastor for Salem's church in 1634, but he was soon forced out of Massachusetts Bay because he believed in the separation of the church and the government. His story showed the strict Puritan practice in Salem. So he agreed with them. So that would be the gentleman that would go ahead and he was the priest and took care of everything. Playing with magic. They have a sign that says witch house. Puritan beliefs were very strict. Samuel took his beliefs seriously. But studying various documents, historians have learned that Person was very interested in the idea of sin, and with his own importance, his wife Elizabeth was often sick and stuck in bed. Puritan's family was often left alone while he was away on church business. Possibly to escape the strict lifestyle, Betty Puritan and her cousin Williams, Albert Williams, would secretly play fortune teller games with a small group of girls. In one game, the girl would ask questions about the future and then drop an egg white into the water to see what shape it took. One February night in 1692, Betty saw a picture relating to a death. She began to twist and scream. So I seen a video on this. There was the young girls, like I said in here, that would do the egg whites and make sure that it was only the egg whites. Could not be the yolk because it would contaminate it. And they would focus on this. And when they focused on it, whatever they saw take shape is what and I think it's a very interesting thing on what they did. Now, whether it was the kids playing games or it was true, that's still to be told. But it's very interesting on how they did that. Today, people can tour the Salem Witch House Museum. The museum was once the home of Jonathan, one of the judges of the Salem witch trial. It is the last remaining building directly connected with the trial. So again, this is the museum. I knew they had a museum, but I didn't know where. So lost you. What? What do you mean? How'd you lose me? Hello. What's going on, folks? Am I still here? You guys see me? Hear me? What? I'm back. Okay. You scared me for a minute there. It cut off and was frozen. I froze. That's not good. Sorry. I like the movie, though. Yep, you're good. Good to know. Betty and Albert blamed their strange behavior, and these were where the accusations came from, behavior on witchcraft. They claimed 3 women were using magic on them. The accused were Sarah Good. All 3 were Sarahs. And a slave named Tubat. Sarah Good was a beggar. Sarah Oborn had a past that the Putin thought was questionable. That was weird. She had married her Severin Alexis Alexander. Shortly after, Betty and Albert accused these 3 women, 13-year-old Anna Putin Jr. and 17-year-old Mary Welcott and 17-year-old Elizabeth Hubbard also began to act strangely. I wonder if it's a curse. They started accusing people of witchcraft too. According to some accounts, these girls formed a special group to tell their future and became the leader. A young little girl became the leader. Nice. Not nice, but you guys get the drift. She was young. Accusing the most people of witchcraft. By the time the trials ended, she had accused 62 people of witchcraft. So this is the crazy that they had to go through. I get that all these look hand-drawn, and they may be. They are really cool looking, though. I know. I said the same thing after the statement I said. People are probably thinking, and we watch her? Yes. You watch me because I'm crazy, and sometimes I think I'm part of this book. No, I'm joking. I'm not. Paris position. Samuel. Oh my. I know. Samuel Paris was friends with Thomas and Anne. He was elected minister of the Putnam New Salem Village Church with their help. Paris also gained ownership of the ministry house and surrounding land, which was unusual at the time. So I guess they accused him too. In October 1691, a New Salem Village Committee formed. The committee refused to pay the local tax, which paid Paris's salary. So he wasn't getting paid. So something had to have happened. And questioned Paris' ownership of the ministry house. Paris and the Putnams fear that Paris would lose his position. Paris began making sermon and religious speeches about how evil was taking over Salem's village. Some historians believe that Anne Putin was encouraged by her parents to continue the witch hunt. Many of the people and the other girls accused had issues with Putin, which is these guys right here. Now, this is part of a special court. In May 1692, Samuel's governor, William Philip, finally stepped in. He set up a special court of and determined to handle the witch trials. The court has seven judges, including William, who is remembered as one of the meanest judges of his time. Whoa, don't want to go up against him. Before trial, an accused person was examined. They were questioned and had their bodies searched for witch marks, which could be anything from a freckle to a birthmark. They're going to strip search them? During the trial, more than 40 people confessed of being witches. Those confessing sometimes accused others. Strangely, those who confessed were often let go. Wow, that's weird. You confess, you should be held, right? Those who claimed, hey James, thanks for coming in. Those who claimed they were incontinent or not guilty ended up going to jail and being hanged. Again, they were not burned. It just said they were hung. The trials were terrifying and unfair, using speculation evidence to find incontinent people guilty or innocent people guilty. So that is the courtroom. And I assume that is somebody's grave. Oh, that is the bishops. Oh, Bridget Bishop hung June 10th of 1692. Jail conditions. Waiting in jail for trial was a punishment itself. People believe that if witches were chained up, they had less chance of letting their spectators out to attack people. The accused people were often placed in ankle to neck chains. That had to be uncomfortable. Even Good and Sarah Good's 4-year-old daughter was chained to a wall. Like her mother, Doris, had been accused of being a witch. Source of the past. The 1692 petition for bail is a primary source because it was written at the time of the event. Wow. Why is this important? For historians to save first-hand account of terrible events like the Salem witch trials. What can we learn from the source written by the accusations? Well, I believe that it is important to keep all of anything from the history, of an event like this because it lets out the truth and what has really happened. I believe that. So that is what this is. And of course, it's just the way it is. I can't read that. It's too small for my eyeballs. But that is actually a real letter that was written stating what happened. Once the witches were locked up, the town waited. Why don't you guys, while I read the next part, put your thoughts in there on why it's important for us to save sources that are written by the accused. Do you think that's important? If so, tell us why in the comments and I'll read them out. And do you think that it is important? Once the witches were locked up, the town waited to see the girls. Fit would stop. When they didn't, there were more arrests and examinations after the examinations which could last 3 to 5 days. The accused returned to prison. The prisons were usually far away from Salem. In 1962, some of the prisoners accused of witchcraft wrote a petition for bail. In the petition, the accused described the horrible conditions in the Boston jail and asked for bail so they could go home to wait their trial, which is apparently what they are doing right here, asking. And then this is what they wrote, which I think is a good thing to let them write because essentially, to me, they're writing history. Why not, right? On March 23rd, this is Rebecca the nurse. On March 23rd, 1692, 71-year-old Rebecca nurse was arrested for witchcraft. Yes. Despite fact or fiction. Despite the fact or fiction. Hearing more sides of the story versus only. Yes, I believe that. I really do. I mean, I think that's important to get all sides of the story. And what they know back then to what we know now, a lot of times, yes, history can repeat itself. That is for sure. But it goes back to the truth. We weren't back there then. That's why we rely on the paperwork and archives and history stuff. You know, the originals. I am so sorry. The originals that have happened. Because with that, we're getting what actually happened back then. When investigating homes today, that information does help. Like if we were to truly go into, and I'm hoping to get more information on the case itself, to get the information as I was going to investigate the museum, which I think would be kind of awesome just to visit, not even to, you would want to know their names, what happened, what they were accused about, and, why they were accused about, what they were supposed to have done. So, yeah, from then to now, yeah, absolutely. Just like when we go in a home and we investigate, even if we're just doing readings or, closing something or, protecting, whatever the case may be, you're going to want to know history of whatever the case is. It could be, like, yeah, their spirits absolutely could be there. And I believe that they probably are. You got to think they were executed and they were, trialed and accused, and some of them probably falsely accused. I mean, just because a kid acts out, you don't always have to think. Again, you don't know how they were acting out. They said in the beginning they were twisting and screaming and saying odd words. I mean, they were young. You don't really know. So that's where they started the accusing, and then everybody else that acted out of turn got the same thing. So yeah, Rebecca the nurse was arrested for witchcraft. Nurse was the perfect image of Putin's morals. If she was accused, then no one in Salem was safe. According to historians, it is possible the nurse and her husband were accused because they had a large amount of land and the townspeople were jealous. And that's not the right reason. To make matters worse, it was believed that witchcraft was passed from mother to daughter. The nurse's mother had been accused in the past. Could you imagine if people did that today? Holy moly. Yeah, that is so true. Even if we say hokey pokey, they could probably go ballistic. Imagine that, Sorry. I did share out, but this is a good party. I'm enjoying this. To make matters worse, oh, I already read that. I was backtracking on myself. Sorry. So after I'm done with this, is where I'm gonna send this book. Not bad. If you would like to hear more of the Salem Witch, I am going to dig into this book, which is pretty good. I'm hoping it goes into more details of the girls and their living and, lifestyle and stuff like that. You can check these out on Amazon. They are there. I just go to my library because if I continue to buy books, my husband's going to tell me, you're done. I don't want that. So if I can go to the library, pick up my books and take them back, and they don't charge for late fees no more, which I am loving because I never remember. Even when I do have the receipt, I never remember. So the nurse was never confessed to witchcraft. Instead, she said, I'm clear. For my life now lies in your hands. Nurse's family immediately tried to get her to repent. Governor Phillips granted one. Oh yeah. So, but the accuser once again had fit. The community decided that meant Nurse was guilty, and she was hung in July 19th. That was a couple days after my birthday. This is a page from the court records. See, another archive, which would be nice. I could probably get a hold of something like that because in our area, they actually have stuff right out of state, which I think is pretty cool. And if they don't have it there with them, they can always look online and get it for me from a nearest archive. So I think that's pretty cool. Source from the past. Historians had saved many official court documents that were written to record the Salem witch trial. There were even records of Rebecca's nurse. Rebecca Nurse is all one name. Nurse is her last name. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to make an appointment, and maybe after the 4th of July, I will go and I'll make a list of different topics. If you guys want a topic to be researched, I'd be more than happy to do it for you. Thursday, actually, we have the Crownsville, which used to be a black mental asylum. where they used to, what they call, keep the crazy. And it is right around the block from us. It is so huge. I may, if we can walk on the sidewalk and, the side streets, we might do that just to see and get pictures for you guys on how big this thing is. I mean, it's huge. It is really, really huge. And I have a picture of a top view, but it doesn't do it any justice. So maybe the girls and I'll take a trip tomorrow. Thinking. Anyway, so raising doubts, they say. The town was very upset about Rebecca's nurse's hanging. People started to have doubts about the witch's trial. So they started to doubt him, huh? And many people became very angry with Pierce. But as the trial wore on, Pierce continued to preach strict Putin sermons, consistently talking about the need to wash away sin. So with him killing people off, he thought, and probably still does to this day in his grave, thinking that he is washing sin away. More people he kills, it's another sin person gone. Not how we do it. But back then, he didn't know. The illustrator shows the trial of Gail Corey, an 80-year-old man accused of witchcraft, and Putin Jr. claimed that Corey's speculation came to her on April 13th of 1692 and asked her to write in the devil's book. Corey was the only person executed or killed by being crushed to death. Now, I will research this to see if he was actually hung, this gentleman right here, or if he was, like they said, crushed to death, because you don't know. Soon the girls were not just accusing community outcasts. Rich and powerful people were called out too. The accusations began to spin out of control. Mr. Margaret Thatcher, who was Judge Jonathan Corwin's mother-in-law, was accused of witchcraft. Two sons of a former governor, Samuel Bradstreet. They had some weird names back then. I thought mine was awkward. The wife of John Hale were also accused. Eventually, in October of 1692, the girls accused Lady Phillips. So this is now getting out of control, and I'm guessing that these girls are accusing other people to lighten the load on them, which I don't think that's doing. I think it's making matters worse. In October of 1692, the girls accused Lady Phillips, the wife of Governor William Phillips. However, none of the powerful people were arrested, so they were still free to walk. The leader of the witch trials, leader of the witches. I don't know where I put y'all in. Politic issues continue to lead to accusations of witchcraft. This was the case of George Burroughs. He was the minister of Salem's village before Pierce and lived with the Putins for 9 months. Through diary accounts, historians have pieced together that there was problems between Burruffs and Punims in 1683. After financial conflicts with the community, Burruffs moved to Maine, so he hit the hay and took off. 9 years later, Burruffs was accused of witchcraft and brought back to Salem. They went and hunt his butt down and brought back to Salem. 2 young women, Abigail, I'd get it, Hobbs, and Mercy Lewis, claimed that Burruffs was not only a wizard, but also a leader of all the witches. When Burruffs was thrown in prison, 32 people signed a petition stating that he was innocent. Unfortunately, Burruffs was still hung on August 19th of 1692. Wow. So this is, oh, wrong way, Burruffs right there. And they have some fantastic archive pictures in here. And I will be definitely going further into this as we go. So I do believe this is going to be a very nice case as we progress. Enter the matters. In case matchers, increasing matters, and his son, Cotton, were well known in the colonies. They made name for themselves by recording major court cases. They were both also ministers, although they believed in witchcraft. So they probably could have helped, even though he probably got hung too. The matchers were in favor of stopping the executions in Salem. They felt the evidence was not strong enough to prove the accused. That was nice, but apparently it didn't help. This is one of the writings. So this is another piece of paper from an archive. Somebody must have done their work very, very, very well. So sources from the past. The matchers wrote many discussing devils and witchcraft. They became famous for their sermons and writings on this subject. Primary sources like this perhaps helps historians understand what people believe in during the late 1600s. If belief in witchcraft was common, why do you think Salem Village has such an unusual high number of executions? Well, with the executions that were going on, I do believe that, they had issues. And they just wanted to point the finger at somebody else instead of taking matters in their own hands. What do you think? And belief in witchcraft was common. Why do you think Salem Village has such an unusual high number of executions? Tell me what you think. In 1693, Increase wrote a famous article based on a sermon he gave in 1692. He wrote, "It were better than 10 suspected witches should escape, then one innocent person should be condemned. Pretty nifty. This meant it would be better to let 10 people believe of being witches go than hung one person who is innocent. Increases sermon made the people doubt. I know I didn't touch anything. My computer just dinged on me. 9 minutes ago. Okay, that's fine. So this is the gentleman that did all the try to get the execution stopped and tried to, I guess, reverse everything that was going on and save lives. The beginning of the end. Getting good. The letter by Thomas. I feel like any out of the ordinary behavior, like just speaking up for themselves and probably consider. And that's the thing. A lot of the, as you've seen the pattern, a lot of the women, it was women. I think there was one man, but all of them were women. And back then, if women even talked at a turn, that was it. They were done. So I believe that's what it was. So that's a great thing that you said. I feel like any out of the ordinary behavior, like just speaking for themselves, they probably consider it crazy. Yeah, and that's absolutely true. That's probably absolutely true too, because you got to think of the time error that was back there, back then, and we never had a voice back then. We were never able to speak for ourselves. So yeah, absolutely craziness. They would look at us like we got 4 eyes plus some. So finally, push the letter by Thomas, a wealthy scientist, finally pushed Governor Phillips into action. The letter was dated October 8th of 1692. In it, Thomas questioned the witch's trial. He didn't understand how speculating evidence could be used in court. So this is women back then were barefoot and pregnant and only spoke once. Yeah, that's so true, babe. So true. And nowadays they can't get us to shut up, right? Love you. But on a serious note, that is so true. One of Thomas's strongest points was that some of the people the girls accused had never even met the girls. See? The young girls were accusing people, but they never took an accountability of getting the proper evidence. So if I were to say that, Michelle down the road, she's a witch because I'm a witch, it doesn't work that way. Because nowadays they'd have to have evidence, and they really don't care about all that. But back then they really did, but they didn't care about the evidence. They just thought it was a sin, and they had to get rid of them. Thomas's letter included a list of well-known men in England who agreed with his point and wanted the trial to stop. Not long after Thomas's letter, Governor Phillips forbidden anyone else accused of witchcraft for being sent to jail. On October 29th of 1692, Phillips officially ended the court and terminal he started a new court, the Superior Court of Judicial, which did not allow spectacle evidence. An apology. Oh no. The Superior Court of Justice tried 56 people and convicted only 3. But everyone tried. Even those found guilty were pardoned by Governor Phelps by May of 1963. At the end of Salem witch trial, 19 people have been hung for witchcraft. 5 had died while in prison, and Gales Corey's had been crushed to death. And I gotta research that. I don't quite know. It was only years later that persons admit he might have been wrong to play the part in the trial. He apologized for his actions in November 26th of 1694 by reading a statement to the Congress in a meeting house. Anna Putin Jr., who had accused the most people, also regretted her actions later in life. In 1706, the pastor read her apology to the church. None of the other girls publicly apologized or admitted they were wrong. And that was the judge. So that was a very nice book. And if you guys want it, you guys can go and get it from Amazon or just your local library. I mean, it's really, really nice. So to me, that turned out really, really awesome. But in that case, we are going to hop off and see you guys tomorrow night for Samuel's. You guys have a great and safe evening, and I will catch you guys tomorrow. Love you guys so, so much. Thank you for all the support. Very nice. Awesome job. Thank you. Thank you. I was nervous reading that. There were some words I didn't understand, but I appreciate it. See you tomorrow when Samuel does his ocean and creations. Hey.